Hey, what's up, Steelers Nation? I'm Tyler Feldman, and much like my all-time favorite TV show, I've curbed my enthusiasm about these Pittsburgh Steelers.
And I'm Ben Bobick, not to be dramatic by being dramatic, but this is a must-win on Sunday, fellas.
And I'm Wayne Gandy, former offensive tackle for the Steelers. Let's overreact.
And I'm Chris Carter. It's going to be a fun week getting ready for this big matchup. It's the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. Let's get into it.
Wave those terrible towels. It's the Steelers Squad. Everything Pittsburgh Steelers every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Steel City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the steel curtain to the next generation, the Steelers Squad Show starts now.
Yes, it does. This is the Steelers Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Happy Wednesday evening, everyone. I'm, of course, Tyler Feldman. Pleased to be joined by Ben Bobick, Christopher Carter, and Wayne Gandy. Wayne Gandy, 15-year NFL veteran, former Steeler, have been thrilled to have him on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show all season long. Christopher Carter, the man wears multiple hats. He's the busiest man in Pittsburgh, possibly. We'll argue it here on this show. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Locked On Steelers Daily Podcast, and we always welcome him to the Squad Show. You can catch his podcast on the Locked On Steelers podcast channel Monday through Friday. And then Ben Bobick, Pittsburgh native. He is a sports anchor in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and he bleeds black and gold. So that's the four of us. We're happy to be talking about this Steelers-Bengals round 2 in Pittsburgh here this upcoming Sunday at 1 Eastern on CBS. And this is a big one. Ben, you said it, kind of a must-win. And the Steelers, Chris, adding Asante Samuel, so maybe that will help against this very talented wide receiver core in Cincinnati.
Maybe. And I think that's the thing here is the Steelers, they've been very clear that like they're not going to be stubborn as far as what they wanted to do on defense. They gave themselves a shot earlier this season when they got beat after the Bengals game. They were like, okay, let's go back out there and see if we make some adjustments. Can this plan work? Of playing a lot of one high safety looks, a lot of man coverage, cover one. And when it didn't after the Packers game, they have since changed. In the last 2 weeks, they've gone from maybe doing like 55%, cover, one high safety looks, 45%, two high safety looks. Now it's more like 70% in the last 2 weeks, two high safety looks. And I expect a lot of that in this game. But the question will be for Asante Samuel is how much do they play him? I get the anticipation that a guy that they have had for years, who I think has played very well this season, is James Pierre. And I think they're going to give him a crack at it at the outside cornerback spot, especially if Darius Slay is still on concussion protocol, which I believe he is right now. I get the anticipation they're going to give James Pierre a chance because on the year, James Pierre has been targeted 12 times and he has 6 passes broken up. It's ridiculous how many times he's gotten his hands on the ball. And I think what they're going to say is in this game, we're going to let him and Joey Porter Jr. be aggressive, just play the underneath coverage, knowing that you got safety help on both sides of the field. And maybe that's the better plan to limit T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and then trust the front 7 to kind of operate on their own to take away Chase Brown in that run game and let that be the factor that wins you a lot more. And if James Pierre falls through, then that's probably when you're going to see Asante Samuel. I don't think they want to throw him out in the fire. This is a little different than Kyle Duggar because Kyle Duggar was coming from being on the Patriots and playing week to week. Asante Samuel's coming from not playing for almost a year and a half. So it's going to take some time for him to warm down. He's ready to go. You talk to him, he's like, put me out there, coach. I want to play. But I think they want to make sure they ease him into things because I also think there's a lot of upside with Samuel. This is a former really high pick in the draft, a guy that had a lot of pedigree. Obviously his dad, he has the lineage of a former all-pro guy. And I think that's where the Steelers are hoping, like maybe if this becomes our addition, maybe him and Joey Porter can be a pair. And guys, it just makes us all feel old that Joey Porter Jr. and Asante Samuel Jr. are playing together. Kind of crazy to just see stuff like that.
It does make you feel old, but the Steelers team will need to play young against this Cincinnati Bengals squad, which they have already lost to this season. Wayne, if you're running the defense on Sunday, how are you incorporating Asante Samuel? What decisions would you make to give the Steelers the best chance to win?
Well, let's make sure we put that junior part on there. Let's give it. I mean, he never lived up to his dad. He's a little undersized. He's a feisty little fighter out on the corner. It's been a while, and I'm hoping that this is one of those moves where players sometimes this is a wake-up call. And I hope this is that fire under a player like him, because you always felt like he had the talent. Really, only thing was about him, it just seems like that size differential sometimes came into play when you watched him out there with the Chargers. But I felt like James Pierre was going to get a move. I talked about it as far as Darius Slay, just his play on the field. And when you consider that he's always kind of been yo-yoing in and out of the lineup, whether it's for a game or just for a series, that something was going to move about that corner position. So now you have another piece that you feel like you can put into the fold that has been in the league, that's going to go onto the field on Sunday possibly and go against the best tandem of receivers that the Steelers have really faced this season. And this offense has proven they've almost hit 40 each game, the last 3 or 4 games. So it's going to be something for him to try to jump in there. But this is just about an attitude, a revenge game, and the Steelers defensively continuing it. I mean, basically, they've had two good games in a row defensively. When I look at them, they really have. Really, just the only thing that didn't show up against the Chargers was the turnovers. But the energy was there, the penetration, the ability to get off the field, make plays. I thought all that was there for them. They just didn't get that signature turnover. And then, the offense never did anything with the ball to give them any energy to feed off of. So I think that this is all about, once again, the players on the field. There's no mystery. They now know what Joe Flacco wants to do and where he can go. And really the way they've played since he's been there, you can stop thinking it was just one of those one-offs and see that Joe Flacco is fighting father time and making some plays with these guys.
Ben, it wasn't too long ago we saw Joe Flacco come in on a new team, shred the Steelers defense apart. Why are the Steelers better equipped to avoid that this second time around?
It's because they made the adjustments, the necessary adjustments since, because you piggyback that game off and into the Packers game. That's where the defense really hit a pretty big low point this season. And they've since made those adjustments. They look great against the Colts, and like you guys have been saying, they did do solid against the Chargers. One thing that I think about too, looking back on Sunday, Justin Herbert really didn't dice up the Steelers too much on Sunday. They were doing a really good job of making him uncomfortable, getting pressure on him, making him, forcing some throws. It really just got to a point where the offense couldn't do anything. And then LA was able just to take advantage of just winning the game. It wasn't so much, oh man, Justin Herbert lit us up. Sort of like Jordan Love and Joe Flacco did, a couple weeks prior. So that's something to hang your hat on. But that's what does. Anytime you're playing a game against guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, no matter who you have, it's always going to worry you. They are top 1% of guys. They're the top 1% of the top 1% if you really think about it. Jamar Chase, especially in particular, and so it's going to be about making those adjustments, man. They know that tape. They've been watching that tape since the last time they played. They've been playing better as a defense, and I love what Chris was saying with James Pierre potentially getting a crack at more reps there on the defensive side of the ball. Dude's earned it. He's earned it with his play on the field, but also, looking back even training camp. I mean, reading a lot of reports out of training camp, he was one of the guys that were just having a really good camp up there in Latrobe. I mean, he's earned this opportunity, and so why not give him a chance? And I think another big, catalyst will be having Jalen Ramsey at safety. He seemingly has found the home there. They seem to like him at safety and what he's been able to offer. And I really don't even think they've unloaded on everything they really want him to do with safety once everything gets going, just because I think he's so versatile in how he plays. To be able to shift into that role so seamlessly, I think he's really, I think maybe a game or two, but could be this Sunday from really making a splash play or two out there in the safety position, just for how comfortable and how well he's been playing it thus far. So yeah, you just have to trust in the fact they've made those adjustments, because the proof is in the pudding. They've looked pretty good the last two games, even in a loss against the Chargers.
Ben, you mentioned Jalen Ramsey. Some questions in the comments. Robert saying Ramsey should stay at safety. That's a perfect spot for him. Chris, in the locker room, what is Jalen saying about playing safety and how comfortable he feels at that position?
He likes it. He likes patrolling guys. I think he wants to be a menace however he can. Like that's the bottom line for him, is Jalen Ramsey wants to be, and like you guys remember when we were talking about training camp and how like he was refusing to sign autograph for kids because he just wanted to be a villain. Like he was just like, Mr. Ramsey, can you sign my autograph? And he was like, and it's just like, but I think that's the mentality that he wants to have and the swag.
And I'm all for villain work, but I feel like he should
sign the kids' balls, sign the kids' jersey.
Come on,
don't be mean to them. But I think it's part of like that, just like that switch that he has. That when he's on the field, he's a killer. He doesn't play games. He's out here. He's out to get the job done. And I think that he sees a way to do that at the safety position. And maybe the Steelers think that if that could just become his Charles Woodson role or Rod Woodson role, where he transitions to there and plays that at a high level for the next 2-3 years, which would be really great for his career if he does that. It'll add to what I think is already a Hall of Fame caliber career. So if you look at Jalen Ramsey and he does that, I think it does a lot. But I think what's also been cool is I've seen him sort of take on that leadership role. He was already being a leader, but I think he's growing into how he can be a leader, because now he's also talking to new guys. Like I saw him talking a lot to Asante Samuel in the locker room, trying to catch him up with things. He's always talking to Kyle Duggar, trying to make sure that they're on the same page. And you can even see it on the field. Like when a guy makes a play, he's the first one to come in and say, "Good job." Like he's trying to be that vocal leader and that physical leader. And I think that's what you need. You need guys that are going to set that kind of tone. And I like the tone that he sets. And so if he does that from the safety position and he's a high level player there, awesome. Great. I still think that's what you really always had in Minkah Fitzpatrick. But if you wanted to just get another type of leader in the room, maybe that was it. That's part of that switch. And but I think that right now it works for the Steelers. What they need right now is a pairing of safety play and cornerback play that can limit those first reads, take away those primary reads that quarterbacks have been exploiting on them, and make it so that if you're going to beat them, it's with those type of like perfect throws from Justin Herbert to Ladd McConkey, where Echols was right on his shoulder and it just went past him and was perfectly in McConkey's hands. Like if a quarterback has to hit that all game to beat you, that's fine. Like then you live with that. You trust that your offense is going to be able to win more, and that you're going to actually maybe catch an interception or two this time around. By the way, the Steelers currently lead the NFL. It dropped interceptions with 9 right now. Kind of wild to see
how many does Joey Porter Jr. have?
I'd have to look that up. But I know he at least has 2. But Juan Thornhill had like 3. And granted, there's a reason why. I asked Mike Tomlin, about the reason for cutting Thornhill, and he was like, it wasn't quite up to snuff. And I was like, man, I've never heard Tomlin just admit that, like, yeah, it was about that. And I think he minimized it because he was like, hey, we wanted Sebastian Castro back. We liked what he did. But I'm like, buddy, that was a guy y'all stuffed on the practice squad, and that's a guy that you guys named as your starting free safety to start the season. That I get not trying to dump on the guy because you want to be good to, you don't want to dump on guys. You want them to have chances to continue their NFL careers. But let's just keep it a buck and admit that Juan Thornhill was a problem.
Not a problem. Jalen Ramsey at that safety position. Wayne, is Ramsey there against the Bengals this time around the key to unlocking defensive success on Sunday?
Well, first of all, I told y'all after that Packer game, Juan Thornhill only had 1 tackle in a whole football game that raised the flag, and it was time to get him out of town. But we'll keep to today's action and go with Jalen Ramsey. First of all, to hear Chris talk about him and for him to mature to the point that he wants to be, because shutdown corners, they're kind of like kickers. They're those guys that is like, those 10 and then me kind of guys. They're very so for him to take on this role and want to lead, you have to really applaud him for that kind of maturity and stepping up and not fighting this move. And I think it gives them a lot of versatility. I think he's perfect. He's, and Chris named the two guys, Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, guys that you kind of always saw. They were those tweeners that could play corner, but they had that free safety where, you can see after about year 10, them sliding to that spot and being able to play another 3 or 4 years at a high level. But I think it gives them a lot of range. It gets him to be able to be active in the box. And it seems like where he's at with his temperament. He wants to be a headache. It's like, I know he went to FSU with Derwin James from the Chargers. He seems like he wants to play kind of that role. He doesn't just want interceptions. He wants some hitting. He wants some sacks. He wants to be let loose in a way, in a chaotic way. And I think it works perfectly for the Steelers.
Speaking of sacks, hopefully Aaron Rodgers won't get sacked, at least not significantly, in this Sunday's matchup against the Bengals. Coming up next, we'll hear what Aaron had to say and see how Aaron Rodgers can bounce back in a big way after really a down game against the Chargers last week on Sunday Night Football. That's next right here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. As the days get shorter and the nights come earlier, it can start to feel a little heavier, especially when life is already packed with work, family, and everything else. Yes, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This season, it's so important to reach out and check in with friends, family, or even yourself. Just like checking on a teammate or reconnecting with someone you haven't seen in a while can lift your spirits, reaching out for therapy can make a real difference too. BetterHelp makes that first step easier by connecting you with a licensed therapist online from wherever you are. I've noticed that simply talking things through, even for a few minutes, helps clear my head and get me back on track. Therapy isn't just for when things are falling apart. It's about staying balanced and growing through the tough seasons. BetterHelp matches you with the therapist who fits your needs, and you can switch anytime if it's not the right match. Over 5 million people have used BetterHelp, and with 30,000 therapists available, finding support really is just a few clicks away. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it simple to take that first step. Listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/lockedon. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Because taking that step forward for support might just leave you wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? Back here, second quarter of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show on a Wednesday night, previewing the Steelers-Bengals Round 2 Sunday at Acrisure Stadium. Ben Bobick, Wayne Gandy, Chris Carter, Tyler Feldman. Happy to be with you here this evening. Christopher Carter rocking the Jackie Robinson shirt. Love it. Wayne's got Auburn on, repping the school, repping War Eagle. And Ben's got a nice green polo on.
That's looking to hire your old coach, maybe.
Yeah. James Franklin's still in the tornado of where is he going to end up. Virginia Tech, Auburn. The options are endless now for James Franklin. He may be happy that Penn State decided to part ways. He's got new life and new opportunity. Steelers with the new opportunity. Sunday against the Bengals. It was just a few weeks ago on Thursday night. The Bengals and Joe Flacco ripped apart the Steelers defense in a 33-31 victory. It was a great game, but the Steelers, I still can't believe that happened in the fashion in which it happened with the man who was playing quarterback for the Bengals. Aaron Rodgers wasn't great last week. It was a down game. Chris, what was the conversations like with Aaron Rodgers about how he played and how he plans on playing better this week?
He was honest about it, but I think he acknowledged it's several levels. Like, he acknowledged he has to be better. He acknowledged they have to run routes better. He acknowledged they have to get on their timing better. He acknowledged that, like, a big thing, and I'm going to be writing about this later in the week, but like a big thing was they kind of talked about, especially on third downs, the effort that has been put into saying DK Metcalf will not beat us. I mean, there were plays, and I broke this down in a film study a little bit, for Wednesday for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. But there were plays where like DK Metcalf would line up on the left side of the formation and a cornerback would run with him, but then a safety would come from the other side of the formation to crack down on him getting a chance to come across the field. They are throwing everything at stopping him, which means they have to find ways to win with Roman Wilson, with Calvin Austin, with Pat Fryman, with Darnell Washington, with Jonnu Smith, with Jalen Warren, with Kenneth Gainwell. They've got to find ways to do it. And he talked about that a bit today when we talked to him in the Steelers locker room. And, when I talked to guys, and DK Metcalf said, he's like, hey, as a route runner, I don't care if I'm double teamed. I'm going to run my route to win it every single time. He's like, but I trust the guys around me. He's like, I lead by example. He talked about how he doesn't go to people and tell them what they should do because he believes in his teammates to be able to make plays. And I think there needs to be a developed trust with Aaron Rodgers in certain respects of this offense, where he knows that on a given play, when they're getting a certain look, he can go to this guy and just know that guy's going to be open. And I'm not sure that he's had that too often with too many players. And that, I think that's something that it takes time to develop, especially with younger guys like Roman Wilson. But that's something that they need to have. Like on the play I'm talking about, where it was 3rd and I think 8, and Metcalf runs a slant and the safety comes from the other side. The safety that vacated the spot. Like the Steelers drew it up, kind of anticipating it. They had Calvin Austin run a deep corner route, and Roman Wilson run like an intermediate corner route. And Calvin Austin broke open, but there was a smaller window. That's where Rodgers went for, and he kind of underthrew it, and it got broken up. But Roman Wilson got open. It just took like another half second for it to develop, and I think that's why Rodgers held it. And if he waits for that second and just lets it go to Roman Wilson, he has a lot more space to fit the ball into. But it's like those little things can turn another 3rd down failure into a major 3rd down conversion that gets things going. The Steelers offense has been bad in a lot of metrics this year. They're like low in yards per play and all that stuff. But the two things that they've been very good at this year are third and shorts, 3rd and 3 and shorter, and red zone. They're the number 1 offense at converting 3rd and 3 or shorter. They're the number 8 offense in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Problem with this game, they only got to the red zone once, and they only got the 3rd and short once. And when you don't even get to the few things that you do really well, that shows what you're doing wrong. And that's where I think that the Steelers really, and Aaron Rodgers acknowledged, they have to be sharper to put themselves in better positions to win.
A lot of great insight there. Ben, the reality is when it comes down to it, Aaron Rodgers has to figure that out, right? He's got to figure out ways outside of Metcalf to push the ball downfield, because if we get another repeat performance offensively like last week against the Chargers, boy, this is going to be tough to swallow.
Yeah, absolutely. But you trust the body of work there, man. I mean, he hasn't had one of these bad games like this in very often in his NFL career. And I like what we were putting up the caution flags, if you will, because of what happened last year. I know we talked about a little bit on Sunday. Hey, you can't let it repeat itself. No doubt, absolutely you do, especially with what just happened less than a year ago with this team. But you trust Aaron Rodgers. You give him a chance to go out there on Sunday to go and rectify his mistakes. I think it's a little bit similar to what the defense was doing, a couple weeks ago. Remember, we kept preaching on, hey, just keep it simple. Maybe just keep it simple. Maybe that's just what Aaron Rodgers needs to do coming out on Sunday. Just keep it simple. Take the open guy. He's at his best when he's spreading the ball around, man, when everybody's getting a touch on it. And I think this offense has sort of been at its best when everybody's touching the ball. And I think that's a good chance for them on Sunday to get it going. And I always love reading Chris's film studies on Wednesday, man. It brings me back down to earth. And this was another great one this week, man, because it just physically shows you, hey, this is where the DK Metcalf, where they're taking him away, but this is where some of these open guys are. And some of it is just, after reading that, and that's what I'm thinking, it's just simple. Hey, Look at Kenneth Gainwell coming across the middle wide open. Just dish it to him. Let him get the ball in space and do his thing. Pat Freiermuth as well. And that's where I think the tight ends will come into play on Sunday, because you look at the Bengals are just the worst, are the worst defense against tight ends. And so you saw what Muth did against Cincinnati a couple weeks ago too. I mean, shoot, 4 touchdowns were 4 tight ends. Muth had 2, and you had Darnell Washington and Jonnu Smith scored. I mean, it's right there for you. So I think for Aaron Rodgers is just getting back to keeping it simple, finding the open guy. He knows how to do the job. He knows how to do the job better than most that have ever played the position in the NFL. So you just keep it simple. You get in a rhythm a little bit, and you keep it going. I think that's what the offense lacked on Sunday, amongst other things, was you just got to get in that rhythm. You get a couple throws, you get it going, and then the rest takes care of itself. And I know a lot of people want to see Jalen Warren get more touches. Obviously, that's always the big thing too. And I think that if anything with him, I think they need to. If anything, they need to scheme up more ways to get him the ball in space in the passing game, because when that dude gets running downhill with the ball, he's tough to tackle. So, but I just think it's just keeping it simple, man. Keep it simple, hit the open guy, and the offense will get back in rhythm and get going.
Wayne, is it as simple as leveraging the tight ends against a Bengals defense that struggles covering that position, or are there other keys to Aaron Rodgers finding success offensively after a down week last week?
No, it's as simple as going out and executing. We talked about it after the game. First play, Steelers jump offside. They don't have that offense. They don't have the offense to be behind the sticks, as they talk about. They don't have the offense to consistently stay in 3rd and long, but they do have an offense that they can be able to move the ball successfully and execute. And as I said, I felt like you brought Aaron Rodgers here for what Chris was talking about: 3rd and short situations, red zone situations, his management. And for my Steeler Nation, let's be honest, we're going into our 10th game. If we can walk away at 6-4, isn't that the talent that we have on the roster? With 7 games ahead of us, and we look at that and think, okay, how do we get 4 wins? Forget the names of the teams. I'm taking you into the locker room with the player. Forget the names of the team. Can we get to 6-4 after 10 games for what all the injuries, for what us, the newness, and go into the next 7 games feeling like if we're better than 500, we most likely will have a January game, or the second week of January game. And then we work from there. So this expectation, I think that if I saw a different roster, I could see this frenzy of why you think we should be 8-2 or something like that. But it's a 6-4 at this point. If they can grab this win, a 7, that's really it. And you have to be real about that. And it's a team that can win if they catch a couple of breaks and they don't beat themselves. And that's the biggest key. And one of them is the ability, someone to take that pressure off of that so they can't just bracket DK Metcalf, is the ability to run the ball. And, and have more fear when that safety tries to go over, hey, they're running at us. So we might have to change up a little bit. And that's kind of how you get the ball to DK. But right now we are a tight end-based functioning team that has the ability with a big play guy out on the side. And I feel good about getting this. If the 6th win against the Bengals at home, I feel very good about that.
Chris, if it's not the tight ends who get a ton of action and crush the stat sheet, who else needs to step up outside of Metcalf? I know, hey, wide receiver 2 is a hot button issue in Pittsburgh with Steelers Nation. I get it. I just feel like at this point, that ain't happening. So who's the guy in that room that needs to step up? And then how can Arthur Smith leverage Jalen Warren more to get the running game going against the Bengals?
Let me say this. Everybody needs to eat against the Bengals. I think we got crossover Thursday with Jake Lisco of Locked On Bengals coming out, and he's like, Chris, this is historically one of the worst defenses of all time. He looked up like 25 the last 25 years. They are like up among the worst of the, like, they might be the worst defense in the last 25 years of football. They rank last in points per game, last in yards per game, last in rushing yards per game, last in yards per play, last in third down and long stopping, last in EPA per play, last in expected points, last in time of possession. They are the only team in the NFL with a worse time of possession than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, and they have that offense. Like, that's how bad this defense is. And in this, when you're up against this, you have to find ways to win. The offensive line needs to step up. I think that's the group that needs to step up. They did not have a good game as a collective against the Chargers. They need to maul the Bengals. They need to destroy them. They need to mow them down. They need to, keep Rodgers with clean pockets all game. They need to give Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson. If I get the ball, I need to get 5 yards against this Bengals team. And listen, for me to get 5 yards, I need a good 8 seconds to like get going. So like that's the kind of work they need to do. Wayne, you've been talking about this since the preseason. You need to see meanness. This needs to be a play. And listen, I think they have the meanness in them. There was a run play early in the game where Zach Frazier drove a dude 30 yards downfield and like pancaked them. They have the meanness within them. But this is, sometimes you need to just get something going. We talked about this a lot. Young offensive lines, they have their ups, their downs. They're growing, they're making mistakes, they regress, they improve. They're up and down. But this needs to be a week where you can set a tone that gets you right heading into what's going to be a difficult stretch after this Bears game, because you got the Ravens, you got the Bills, you got the Lions, you got the Ravens again. And I think this is a prime opportunity to iron out a lot of problems that you have, whether it's Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Darnell Washington, Jonnu Smith, whoever, get the ball to Jalen Warren. Everyone needs to eat this week. This needs to be a week where the defense doesn't allow them to score 30 points, keep them at like 17 to 20, and the offense hangs 35 on these guys. That's what needs to happen this week if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Speaking of eating, I ate a huge bowl of chili before this show just to get myself prepped. And coming up next, Ben, do you have something to say here?
I just want to say, man, I don't know, a blank check on letting Chris Carter tote the rock on Sunday, man. I'd love to see that happen. We get in that situation, we're living good.
Oh, man, I'd love to see that as well. Hey, back to the food. Up next on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show, Wayne Gandy will be serving up Wayne's World. We'll dive in. Who knows what Wayne will serve us and allow us to digest on a Wednesday night previewing this Bengals-Steelers matchup. Stay with us right here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. More than 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process so much smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Third quarter, second half of this Locked On Steelers Squad Show on a Wednesday night. Christopher Carter, Wayne Gandy, Ben Bobick. I'm Tyler Feldman. Happy to have you with us as we preview this second round matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers. I realize saying that it sounds like a playoff game. It's far from it. This is a must-win type of game for the Steelers and for the Bengals. So a lot at stake here. Big AFC North division matchup. Wayne, I want to go to you first here to start this third quarter. What's inside Wayne's world as we look ahead to Sunday between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh?
A pastrami and cheese, almost famous Permane Brothers sandwich. That's what's in Wayne's world right now.
Got some fries, little coleslaw, sliced down the middle, little Italian bread.
But
their beef is good too.
To piggyback off what Chris was saying, really, it's about the offensive line, and I'm hoping Isaac Seumalo is back so we can get to the big boy package. that is when the run game has, when it's been steady and it's been stellar, it's been able to put Spencer Anderson out there. Teams seem to have a big problem stopping the run. It's physical out on the edge. And this is one of those classic games where you're playing a high-powered offense, a terrible defense, and you need to take the air out of the ball. Mike Mularkey used to call it slow scoring, where he would get mad if we went out and scored in 5 plays. What are y'all doing? He would just be, you would think we scored a touchdown. He didn't want that. He wanted 12 plays. You know, he wanted you to go out, eat up the clock, keep that offense on the sideline, take the momentum, and just continue to put the pressure on them. And that's what you feel like the Steelers, or I at least feel like the Steelers need to do in this game. The offensive line, it's time to get back to 2 weeks ago where you're coming off the line, you're playing physical, it's simple, the call is out and execute. Don't worry about who's on the edge and who's not. Here's your man. Let's block them. Pull out your favorite 3 or 4 runs and run that. To me, that's what this game is about, taking advantage. We always talk about, once again, complementary football. So whose turn is it to dominate the game? It changes per team. It changes per week based on the health of a position. This week, the offensive line is the part of the team that you have to call out. And we need one of those 120, 130-yard team rushing games, where we're just physical. We're eating up 5, 6, 7 minutes on the clock, and we're setting the tone of how the game is going to go. So Chris was exactly right. It's about the offensive line and these tight ends and that physicality in this game. And that's the secret sauce. That is not – there's no one else coming, as we used to talk about. There's nobody outside. Franco Harris is not about to check into the game. This is the team. And this is what we can do, and this is what we can't do. And what we can control is being physical and playing hard and taking advantage of this defensive front, especially looks again that Trey Hendrickson is going to be out. So let's go. And that's how we play.
As some would say, as Anderson comments, Wayne, or damn Eagle. little love for Auburn.
Little love. We're down. We need it.
Hey, everyone needs a little love. And Chris, how does the offensive line for the Steelers, how have they shown love to one another during practice this week as they try to get back on track?
Well, we're not allowed to say what we see in practice per se, but I can't tell you that this group is around each other a lot. They hang out with each other. They do karaoke together. They'll go out. They'll eat dinner together. These guys really like each other. They have a lot of fun together. And I think it helps that they were all drafted around the same time. Broderick Jones was drafted, 3 drafts ago. All the rest of these guys were drafted 2 drafts ago. So they kind of come in needing to grow together. I think that's a good thing for them. Now, I also think that Isaac Seumalo plays the uncle role that kind of gets them together. And that's important. And I think you saw that in this game when he wasn't there. There was a little bit of less coordination. Broderick Jones, even on some of the pressures that he allowed, you could see him kind of recover in time to stop Aaron from being sacked because he didn't give up a sack in this game. But some of the pressures he gave up spoiled pockets for Aaron Rodgers in moments that forced him to kind of roll out and miss opportunities for guys that were open. And I think some of those he might have been a little sharper on if Isaac Seumalo's out there, because Isaac's a really good communicator and can kind of be there. Whereas they had Andres Pete in there early on, and then they had Spencer Anderson in there when Andres Pete wasn't working. And I think that's where the Steelers kind of are right now, is they want to have their continuity. And I kind of anticipate Mike Tomlin seemed very optimistic about Isaac Seumalo playing this week. So I anticipate him being back. He's a tough guy. But this offensive line needs that to be sharper, and they need to have their cohesiveness in the run game. I've seen them do so well at some certain points this year where their combo blocks are getting better timed, and they're getting more on point with catching guys off guard with where they're pulling from. And those are things that they need to get back to doing this week. And sometimes it's just about getting that confidence. Sometimes it's just when it clicks and then you all of a sudden are firing off that momentum. That's what young players need to start believing in themselves. And then these guys believe in themselves, but when you're up against other professionals, sometimes it just helps to see that success, and then you start to build off of it. I remind guys all the time, Marquise Pouncey and David DeCastro did not just happen right away. Pouncey came in hot, but that group needed time to develop. I mean, DeCastro took Pouncey out in the first game of a season one time with a chop block where he just went right at his knee.
How could we forget?
Yeah. So I'm saying, this unit hasn't done that yet. Hopefully they don't, because that would be catastrophic. But I think that's the kind of stuff that comes with a learning curve, right? And I think they're generally trending upwards, but the trending upwards is never a clean slope. There's always valleys, there's always mountains, and they need to get some more mountains to get to where they're going to get to. And I like the trajectory this year. I think that there's potential for that to happen. But again, one game at a time. This is a Bengals defense that you can absolutely do that to. You have to capitalize. Cross your T's, dot your I's, and put some doggone exclamation points on those sentences.
I always like to dot my T's and cross my I's just to keep people on their toes.
There you go.
Ben, when it comes to sport, this kind of feels like a get-right game for the Steelers. And from what I'm hearing from Wayne and from Chris, it seems like the offensive line will be that key piece offensively to get right. Isaac Seumalo, Chris says hopefully he can go. It seems like he's gearing up to go. That addition with the offensive line after what happened last week, you'd like to think inside that line's head that they're motivated, highly motivated to repeat what they were able to do against the Bengals defense just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting him back would be huge because that whole, as a unit, they were really starting to gel, and you saw that, and everybody was. But I think it's important to remember, too, back, and not that this is an excuse from what happened in Thursday Night Football, but, hey, that was a short week they had to prepare for a Cincinnati team who Joe Flacco was obviously really early in his tenure there now. I mean, that's something definitely to keep that feather in your cap, if you will, or at least that on your mind, because now they already played them once and they get a full week to prepare, and you get them at home. It is a little bit of a difference because I think the offensive line is one thing, but I just remember that game in Cincinnati was the front seven. I mean, granted, Flacco's throwing the ball so quickly that it was, but it's still tough to get the pressure on the quarterback, and that's something that's going to be a key on Sunday. And I'm sure we'll get into that when we dive into the keys to the game. But as for the offensive line, absolutely, man. You want to be mean, you want to take it to them. You have to sense a little blood in the water here. And you mentioned get right game, Tyler. Yeah, it can be a get right game, but you still have to go and do it. Attention to detail, I think, is key amongst all this week, man, because I think that's what it really boiled down to on Sunday. And it's such a cliche for a lot of fans to hear execution, but in reality, it just really is it. I mean, you just have to do what you're supposed to do, and if you do it, the good things can happen. And the Steelers were lacking that against the Chargers on Sunday. So I think it just comes down to attention to detail, everybody in their right spots, doing what they need to do, having that edge, and you can start to get that rhythm. And that's what you want to see from the offense. That was missing on Sunday against LA. There was just no rhythm to it. I mean, it was maybe one or two drives. Even the one or two drives didn't feel like there was any rhythm to it. It was like, when's it going to stop? When's it going to stop? And then you see, you get 2nd and 1, and Faltano takes a holding penalty, and it's like, oh, boom, that's where it is. And then you get, 1st and 10 in the red zone, and you turn it over on downs, and the game's over. It was really the only two times. And that was really, when it was, game on the line, really, that drive for the Steelers late in the game. So you just want to see them get in a rhythm, and the offensive line is going to be a big part of that. Run the ball, get in a rhythm, get in those 3rd and shorts, get back to doing what you do best.
We'll get into rhythm and have a full preview. Keys to winning for the Steelers and our way too early predictions. Maybe Chris will indulge us with his prediction in some capacity. That'll be coming up next right here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Fourth quarter of this Wednesday night, Bengals Steelers preview edition of the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. He's Christopher Carter. He's Wayne Gandy. He's Ben Bobick. I am Tyler Feldman. Final quarter, guys. Let's preview this Bengals-Steelers matchup, keys to victory, and then we'll get into our game predictions a little bit later on before the end of this show tonight. Chris, I'll start with you. We've talked a little bit about everything here on this show tonight, but when it comes down to it, key to victory for the Steelers, the most important key is what?
I think the important key is defensively, do not let Jamar Chase and T. Higgins beat you. And if you are able to just take them away, they're going to make big plays. That's what they do. This is maybe the best receiver in football and the best second receiver in football. But in them making plays, you cannot allow them to do so easily. They'll make let them be the occasional play. You cannot give up the easy throws, the quick throws that Joe Flacco wants to have. You have to be ready for those. And when Jamar Chase and T. Higgins make plays, they need to be a lot more like the play that T. Higgins had at the end of the game, where it was just, hey, great throw, great catch, but not the shallow crosses where no one's around him. And I think it's encouraging to see the Steelers haven't allowed a lot of those, since the Packers game. In the last two games, you've seen them be very sticky in coverage. They've been more consistent. And I really like what I'm seeing out of just schematically how they seem to be more understanding what's going on there. And so I think that there's a lot of good things going on there. So got to make things harder on those guys to just eat catches and challenge them more. And then in doing so, you'll force Joe Flacco to hold on to the ball a bit more, and that'll give this defensive front more time to get after him. And Joe Flacco is not Justin Herbert. Like, I give Justin Herbert a ton of credit. That guy was tough. He took 5 sacks and even more quarterback hits and just kept bringing it. Joe Flacco don't got that kind of body anymore. Just like Aaron Rodgers don't got that kind of body no more. So you put hits on Joe Flacco, it's going to change how he has to operate. And then also stuff the run. Chase Brown cannot have a night. The Bengals offense may rank dead last in rushing yards per game, but they have the 8th highest explosive run rate because they just don't run the ball that often. But since Joe Flacco, because teams are so scared of Chase and Higgins, Chase Brown has eaten. And so you can't let that happen. So you take away those two things, I think the Steelers defense has a heck of a day. But the bottom line after that is that my third key, offense, shut up and put up points. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if it's DK Metcalf, if it's Calvin Austin, if it's Jonnu Smith, if it's Pat Freiermuth, if it's Ben Bobick. Get in the end zone. You got to make it happen. And by any means necessary, I'm pulling out Malcolm X here. This is a call to arms for the Steelers offense. This needs to be the week that you wake up out of your sleep, that you get out there, you put up points on the board in bunches, and then that could be something that propels you to go up against a more talented Bears team next week. And then if you get the win here and there, then you set yourself up for that ramp up to Bills, Ravens twice, Lions, because you're really going to need the offense in those weeks.
We want to talk about blank checks. Forget Christopher Carter. Blank check for Ben Bobick.
Ben Bobick out there, baby.
Come on.
Yeah. I would run all the way to Munhall with that football.
And I don't think anything would stop you except for maybe an Eaton Park Smiley cookie. I know that's a
Maybe.
soft spot for you. Here we go, Anderson. Bobick,
That's good value.
Plus 500.
Anytime. Lock it in.
Hey, Wayne, I want to know your keys because you've got just a plethora of experience playing this game. And Joe Flacco, last time these two teams met, 342 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He was 31 of 47. Chase Brown, 11 carries for 108 rushing yards. Jamar Chase, 23 targets, 16 catches, 161 yards, 1 touchdown. Then T. Higgins, nearly 100 receiving yards and a touchdown as well. Steelers got to figure out how to stop it. What are your keys to putting out the stop sign?
Well, first and foremost, you got to win the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think, we're all going to echo the same sentiment as far as keys. And that goes from the sense of the defensive line. They got to be effective in stopping the run. The linebackers have to feel that they can turn their back. They can play a little loose, just drop back in coverage, and someone is going to buy them time to be able to come up to make the play in the run game. You can't let a team feast both ways, especially when they have these receivers. It can't be they have both. You got to they're one-dimensional in their mind. And you can't think about Joe Flacco in the sense of, and I think that was some of it, the short week and this arrogance that it's just Joe Flacco. And as much as we try to as players, we sometimes can't. We fall victims to ourselves. We look over and some of your toughest battles is that day that you never look, the starter gets hurt on the second play. And now there's this guy that's lined up across from you that you have no idea. You haven't watched him on tape. You have no idea what he's going to do. And you have the longest day of your life trying to block him, and it's just one of those things where I feel like the Steeler defense kind of took the whole idea of Joe Flacco moving and not having enough time to prepare and kind of laxed. And I'm looking for a different energy. Alex Highsmith, the way he's played these last 2 games, I salute you as a teammate. It's just been at a high level, but it's about the defensive line, being able to get some penetration so Queen, Wilson, those guys don't have to just be reactive to the run. And then we've already talked about it on the other side. Chris is right. This is the offense. It's not just this week. It's a by any means offense, period. That's how this offense functions. And some fans don't like that, but that's sometimes the hand you get dealt. And you have to accept that and try to win with that. So, and that is this offense. And Aaron Rodgers, let's hope. I was able to play till I was 38. Well, by the time I was 33, it was all the way up to the national anthem by the time the feeling hit me. That's how you get. The older you get, you're just hoping, please hit me, energy. Please come on me. It doesn't mean the mental is there, but sometimes you're just waiting on someone. You're waiting on the other team to make a remark. You're waiting for warm-up to come and somebody say something smart to you, to find that. So let's hope one of the Bengals come over there, maybe spit on Aaron's shoes, something that gets him going in the game. And, and maybe Jalen Ramsey might start a fight. Let's do that. That'll get Aaron Rodgers going. And I think that all I'm looking for him is to be efficient in the red zone and make those 2 or 3 plays a game that keep drives going. That's what I feel like that he brings to this game, to the team at this point. And I just want them to establish the run up front. And as I said, if we can get back to that big boy package and be physical, I think we'll be okay.
I've been waiting this whole show to have that I need that feeling moment. And finally, Wayne giving me the picture of someone spitting on Aaron Rodgers' cleats pregame gave me that feeling to bring it for the show. So the first 50 minutes, forget about it. These last 8 minutes, I'm bringing the energy. Ben, what energy do the Steelers need to get a victory on Sunday against the Bengals?
And they might need the ghost of TJ Hushmanzada, man. Think about what he did in that tunnel with the terrible towel. Play that in the locker room beforehand. Get everybody ripping and roaring. But no, I think these guys nailed it. I mean, that's what it comes. I mean, it's pretty glaring what happened last time against the Bengals, man. Chase Brown running all over. You got to stop the run. They've been doing a decent job of that, at least since. And then when it comes down to it, you have to make it hard on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's what it comes down to, man. Now, those are your playmakers. I'm really excited to see how they defend those two, and that's going to be a major key, obviously, because those two are just they are who they are. But I think, and I know it's like a hot button item here. We talk a lot about it, but I think I do think they might have to create a turnover or two. And I think that will just naturally come if they play the way that they want to, they're supposed to. That's the thing. It's not that they have to go out there and create this turnover. If they play how they're quote unquote supposed to play on Sunday, where they're getting after, where they're bottling up, not bottling up, but limiting Jamar Chase and D. Higgins, getting some pressure on Joe Flacco. I think the rest will take its course. That's where you see a guy like Nick Herbig come around the backside, beat his man, and just grab that ball and swat it out of Joe Flacco's hands because he has the time, because they're, like Chris was saying, because they're taking away that first option or second option. And that also, we've been talking a little bit about Jalen Ramsey. I think that's a guy that took it personal, last time they played Cincinnati. You think about the T. Higgins play that essentially sealed the game. He was beat on that play. They took a beating in the secondary against Cincy last time. Now he's playing safety, bit of a different position. He would love for Joe Flacco to force the ball into his neck of the woods, because I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Ramsey comes up and makes a play, maybe an interception on Sunday, because that's just a guy that has just an elite level of play throughout the course of his career, and for a reason. And so I could see him making a big play, but I think it's just about just trying to create a turnover, letting it all take its course, and obviously it comes down to scoring points. You got to do that to win the game. But I'll be honest, I'm not so. I don't want to say worried about the offense. I do think they show up with the point to prove on Sunday. I just hope the defense does too, because that game on Thursday night is still lingering on my tongue, and I'm ready to mouthwash it out on Sunday.
Little Listerine for Ben Bobick. Let's talk score predictions. Chris, do I dare ask you?
Fine. Your boy's gonna do it here. Your boy's gonna do it here because I intentionally wore this shirt for this reason, for this score prediction. The Steelers are gonna score, Jackie Robinson, 42 points against the Bengals. This game 42-20 Steelers. And I think the Bengals will still get their points. But I think you're going to see the Steelers defense that's aggressive, that creates turnovers. The Bengals will still get like a couple big plays here. They are tough. They are averaging 37 points per game since Joe Flacco's been in there. Now, granted, they played a bad Steelers defense on Thursday night. They played the Jets and they played the Bears. So, it's not like they're beating, the Chiefs and the Broncos and the Texans defenses right now. But I think this is a get-right game on both sides of the ball. And, I mean, the defense has been kind of right since the Packers game. But I think this is an all-together moment. If the Steelers lose this game, that's going to be the harshest loss they've had this season. Sunday night was embarrassing against the Chargers and a letdown, but against a good team where your quarterback didn't play well. The Packers game was a letdown, but against a good team where your defense kind of broke things up in the second half. Thursday night on the road is always tough, no matter who you are. When you're playing a division opponent, that's always tough. But this game is different. You have to get this right. So I think the Steelers do get it right. I'm saying 42-20 Steelers.
Chris Carter saying it's Steelers Jackie Robinson. It is Bengals Frank Robinson. Wayne, who do you got? Prediction-wise, score.
Well, I'm hoping they take the air out the ball and make it a slower game than 42 points. If there's 42 points, the defense definitely scored. I do know that for the Steelers. But I'm going to go 26-21 for my prediction. I think the defense will create something to give the Steelers the short field. I think Chris Bos will end up having to kick 3 or 4 field goals in this game. But I'll go 26-21. Excuse me.
1 Eastern kickoff, Acrisure Stadium, CBS. Steelers favored by 5.5. Over under is 48.5. Ben, how do you see things shaking out? You've been the maestro with the score predictions here. As you
have, Ben. We're all waiting, man.
No, I do. I think it's.
Let me get my FanDuel. Hold on.
No, I do think it's the proverbial get-right game for the Steelers, man. I think it could be similar to what the game last year in Cincinnati, where they were able to keep up and score a bunch of points on the road, and obviously get that timely turnover late that ultimately put the game, put them ahead by enough. I think it's going to be similar to that game. I had the Steelers winning this one 38-24. I think you see them up 3 scores late in the game. I think that Cincinnati gets it to 2, and then it's kind of just a salted away sort of situation. I do think the defense comes up with a splash play or 2 timely in the second half when they need to. And I think the offense gets right. So I have Pittsburgh winning this one 38-24.
Okay. It's a clean sweep. I'm also picking the Steelers this week.
That's dangerous.
33-31. A little flip the script. Exactly. It was 33-31 Bengals a few weeks ago. I'm saying the Steelers 33-31 this time around. And you know what? I'm going to throw this in there just for some giggles. Aaron Rodgers catches a touchdown pass. It hits off a lineman. He jumps up and grabs it in the end zone for a touchdown. So
Tyler,
that's gonna
you better bet that
when that happens,
if it hits, it's the greatest hit of all time.
Hey, well, I appreciate all of you listeners for hitting play on the Locked On Steelers podcast here tonight. For Ben Bobick, Wayne Gandy, and Christopher Carter, I'm Tyler Feldman. Be sure to catch Christopher Carter's weekly, daily, Monday through Friday, Locked On Steelers podcast. He's got some great episodes out every single day of the week, except for Saturday and then Sunday. It's Monday through Friday. Okay, everyone, like and subscribe. That helps us out. But again, it's the Steelers and the Bengals, 1 Eastern, Sunday at Acrisure Stadium. We will have a full recap live right after the game, right here on the Locked On Steelers Squad Show. Until then, here we go, and we'll see you Sunday.